Alright, for today's video, I wanted to try some unusual lures. I'm always looking for unusual lures and stuff. And I just happen to have a local lure maker here around here in town reach out to me and send me some of his stuff. And he's got some pretty unusual things, a couple things I've never even seen before. He sent me a care package. Uh, Last Cast Lures, based here in San Antonio. I'll put a link to his website in the description. He can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. First off, we got these. I'm not even sure what color this is. It's kind of a. It's definitely a fall color. It's got a little reddish hint, so I guess it's like a red pumpkin or just pumpkin maybe. But stick baits, probably a good color to use right now. Next is another staple. We got some white pearl and white with silver and looks like some black flake flukes. I couldn't actually find these listed specifically on the website. These might be what the drop shot are, but there's not a picture on those. But these are nice. These are good. Got a little extra on the end of the craw claws there, so they get some extra movement in there. That's always a nice thing. A lot of the smaller bait makers you see don't have that. Next up is the first of the more unusual ones. Got a jerk shad. The 4-inch jerk shad. There you go. That the note he sent me says he likes to rig them through the side and work them like a fluke. So I could see how that would work. It would look like a dying fish. I kind of want to see if I can rig it with like a jig head and swim it, but I'm probably going to fish it off the side too. And then this one is the next of the more unusual ones. I have seen similar things to these before, but I've never found any locally here, not like in the stores or stuff. So interesting to try. But these are Gobis. Kind of a nice two-tone laminate color scheme there. Green pumpkin. Interesting design. It's got a bit of a paddle tail on there, so I'll be swimming that or maybe jigging it off the bottom some. 5-inch frog. Now I've seen some of his video of these being used. They swim around. They look like a real frog. When you see a frog swim down and it's on the bottom and it's swimming around like that, they look like a real frog there. So these are pretty cool. It's a bit larger than what I would normally throw, but that's fine. Maybe I can. I mean, it's that time of year where the bigger fish are out and about, so should be feeding, getting ready for spawn later on. And then the thing I'm most excited about, the most unusual lure, which I've seen these popping up from other companies too. He's got them listed as Lucky Dice. The skirted cube. Which, I know I had asked him specifically to send me some instructions on how to use it because I haven't seen anybody that actually made a video with the proper way to use it. He said to just rig it with a wacky worm hook. And you can either throw it weightless or drop shot it. So that's what I'll be doing. I've got a drop shot set up. And if that doesn't work out, I can throw it weightless, which, okay. So there we go. That's the main thing I'm excited to try is the Lucky Dice. I guess it's appropriate that the company is called Last Cast Lures because this is probably the last time I'm going to be fishing this year. This will be the last video I make this year. Be the last fish I catch this year. So last cast I make this year. So Last Cast Lures works out. Let me rig up my rods here, and then we'll give some of these some tests and see how the action is on them. Alright, first up, it's going to be the stick bait. Now that I'm out here in the sunlight and I can see it a little bit better. It's actually a two-tone. It's got a darker, redder color on the top and a lighter, more brownish orange on the bottom. And the thing with stick baits is everybody knows how they work. They're all kind of the same. the thing that sets them apart is the shimmy. When it hits the water and it sinks to the bottom, like what the shimmy looks like. So, let's see if I can. Let's see. I might have to put a bullet weight on this, but I mean it does sink, and it sinks level, and you can see it's got some wiggle to it. So nice heavy weight. I think it's a little bit shorter than the regular 5-inch size, but it's also a very nice fall color. It matches all the leaves that are all around me and floating on the surface out here. Did I just have something blow up on it? I think I just had something blow up on it. I like the way this moves, because a lot of times with the stick baits I'll kind of run them up towards the surface, and there's somebody else's line with a hook on it. And I'll run them up to the surface and kind of walk it, like almost like a walking bait. But this isn't really the reason why everybody's here. I'm gonna use these more, but right now let's kind of test what they all look like. Let's move on to the Fluke. All right, now I'm gonna try out the Fluke. It's another one, it's a staple, along with the stick bait, that everybody knows how they work, how they're supposed to work, how they catch fish. So let's throw it out there and check out that movement. Okay, this is actually a slow sinking. A lot of the ones I've seen sank a lot faster. I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not, probably not with the reflections and all that, but it's actually, as it sinks to the bottom, it spirals around, it swims in a circle, and it's definitely got some nice Fluke movements. But like I said, this isn't really what everybody's here for. I just want to test them out and see if they do what they're supposed to do. So this and the stick bait are exactly what they're supposed to be. They're definitely going to catch fish. Let's go over here under these leaves and go see what's next on the list. So the stick bait and the Fluke get passing grades on my end. All right, this Craw is really cool. It's a green pumpkin on the bottom and a red Craw color on top. And I think this will actually catch something. I think I got a good shot at catching something with this today. So I might come back to it. And when you get it out there in the water, it's very red. It just changes colors almost. It looks totally different than it did when it was in my hand. So this is definitely something that I'm gonna have to come back to. I might have to break out a jig and put it on there. Right now I'm just weightless Texas rigging it, then it sink down to the bottom, which it looks good. This thing's pretty awesome. Let's get out there under these leaves, under that bridge. Those claws get a lot of movement because of that extra flare on the ends. That's pretty awesome. This is a great trailer. Now this is probably going to be what the most effective lure is today, and that's the Gobi. And I've got it weightless Texas rigged, which I'm sure it's going to need a different hook than what I got in it, and different, well, probably a jig head. But I just want to see what it acts like. It sinks a little bit faster than the other ones do. Definitely needs a jig head because it spirals with this hook. This is definitely not the right kind of hook for it. I've got other jig heads that I'll rig up later on. I just want to see what it looks like right now. It looks good in the water. I'm gonna let it sink down to the bottom. Kind of do what I was doing with the Craw there for a minute. Of course, there's so much stuff built up on the surface that I can't really get a good clean cast out with it to see what they're really like. But this thing, the way I'm fishing it right now, it looks pretty effective. It kind of darts around at the surface. It's like the Fluke right now. So that's going to be, I think that's going to be the most effective one for catching something today. I'm not fishing it right, so I'll come back to this one. All right, next up is the jerk shad, which I think this might be pretty effective out here if I'm sight fishing, if I can find some fish that are starting to select their beds and I can see them, throw this around them, make it look like a dying fish. I think it'll work pretty well. See what the movement looks like. There's not as many sunfish around as there normally is, but the sunfish went after it. That's interesting. And it is a jerk shad, so let me jerk it around like a jerk bait or a fluke. Okay, so the shape of it kind of gives it a gliding motion when you can get it upright. That's pretty cool. This might be pretty effective out here too, because when you get it upright, it cuts through the water and does like an S pattern. So the key to catching stuff today would be finding the fish. So I'm gonna test all the lures out here, and then I might move on somewhere else to another location to see if there's more activity. All right, now we're on to probably the most unique lure that I've seen out of the pack, and that's the 5-inch frog here. Now, I definitely need an EWG for this, but I've only got my regular worm hook tied on. So you need that extra wide gap so there's more of a loop hanging down underneath. That way when the fish bites it, they kind of push the hook up into the mouth. This one will still work, but it won't be as effective as the regular EWG. But right now I'm just testing movement and seeing what it looks like. And it does float. Oh, look at that, the sunfish are coming up to it. Maybe putting a little bit of weight on it, getting it to sink, would give it that movement that I was talking about earlier. Okay, if you go and see his YouTube channel, watch the videos of it, you'll see what I mean. But this one does float, which is pretty cool. So there we go. That does exactly what you would expect it to. So, and then it's got these nice little small connections where the limbs and stuff meet the body, so there is a lot of movement to it, the joints. So that's awesome. Now, gotta move on to the star of the show. All right, now we're on to the lucky dice, and this one I've got it drop shot rigged with my catfish setup. And yeah, this is not the weight you want to be using for a drop shot, but it's an old pyramid weight that's worn down and round, so it'll work. I didn't feel like cutting it off and tying on a new one right now. I'll put on the proper one here in a minute. I just want to see what it looks like. Now on the drop shot, it's interesting because it's got the skirts on it like a jig, but with the drop shot you can work it off the bottom, which is not something you normally do with jigs. And it could also be rigged weightless and thrown like that, but I think this is something you could just like maybe put it on a jig head, something like that. And this white does kind of work with all the leaves that are on the bottom right now. Kind of makes it look like there's a fish stirring up the leaves off the bottom, or some kind of a creature. So let's go for a walk and see if I can find any fish and really test out these lures. All right, so if I can actually find some fish, specifically bass, these lures will definitely work. It's just a matter of actually finding them. I might just be at the wrong park. There's one. Let's try the jerk shad. See if the jerk shad will get his attention. Where'd he go? Oh. Okay. So it definitely got his attention. He's following it. But he didn't bite it. Oh, what? I had something grab it there. That's interesting. So it was big enough to eat the 4-inch jerk shad, but he didn't get the hook. There's a bass. Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Oh, I pulled it out of his mouth. Come on. He ate it. But he didn't get the hook. Because I'm not using the right shape hook. I need to put that other hook on. Yeah. I didn't want to cut this off and tie on again, but I got to use a different kind of hook. Got to use that EWG, the extra wide gap. Finally had a bass bite, and he chased it down too and ate it. But I had a regular worm hook on it. This is what you call an EWG, extra wide gap, which you can see the hook bows down a lot more. So when they bite it, they'll push down like that and get the hook. The other one was just straight across, and it didn't have that bow in it, which those are fine for like the skinny Senkos and thinner baits, but they don't work on the other stuff like this. So the jerk shad has gotten the most interest out of everything. I probably could have caught that fish if I let him hold on to it a little bit longer, eat it a little bit more, but got a little excited and set the hook. Oh, I got one. Oh, he came off. Come on. I didn't set the hook on him. I didn't know he was there. Maybe there's multiple ones over there. I don't know. Maybe that's the same one that bit twice. I don't know. Hopefully there's a handful of them over there. I didn't stick him though, so maybe he'll bite again. So the jerk shad seems to be the one that they want. That last bite, I couldn't even feel that he was on there. There was just a little bit of resistance. I thought maybe there was a leaf or something on it, but it was a bass just swimming towards me. Let's try that Gobi again. Give him something slightly different to look at. I think if I can get one to bite the Gobi, I can hook him for sure. There's just absolutely nothing more frustrating than having your bait stuck to a branch, and no matter what you do, you can't get it off. So you finally break it off, and then it falls off like nothing, like it wasn't even hooked. It just drops into the water after it was like dug in so much into the wood that you couldn't get it out. Then you cut the line and it falls off like it wasn't hooked. Put the Gobi onto a jig head, so now it's a swim bait. I'm getting ready to give up on this spot. Oh, he's got it. He's got it. Get out of the roots. Get out of the roots. Get out of the roots. There we go. Got one on the Gobi. And whatever he was doing, he's got, maybe that's from splashing around on the surface, but he's got a leaf down there in his gullet. See if I can get that out of there. There we go. Not a big fish, but it's a fish. Whew. On the Gobi. There's two big bass right there. I just walked up and spooked them away. Hide behind this tree here. Alright, they're too skittish. I'm gonna have to come back. But those are the two biggest bass in the whole creek apparently. Putting the lucky dice on a jig head. There we go. Something like that, and I'm just gonna throw that out there. See if I can cast this dice out here. Oh. It's a little bit too lightweight for this rod, this combo. There we go. Oh, something's got it. Something's got it. Sit the hook on him. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's probably the biggest bass of the year, and it's going to be the last bass of the year. Oh no, don't get in the roots. Get out of the roots. I don't know if I can pick him up without it breaking off. There we go. Oh, I didn't bring my scale. This is, man, this is probably close to, I mean, that's got to be 3.5 pounds. Look how fat that thing is. Always carry your scale on you. On the lucky dice, on the jig head. This is why you always carry a scale on you. That's got to be 18 inches. This is got every bit of 3 pounds. Do I have a tape measure? No, I didn't bring a tape measure. That's got to be 18 inches. And it's got to be 3 pounds. That's a good fish. Wish I could catch these during tournaments. Of course, tournaments are over for the year. Wow. Well, thanks to Last Cast Lures, I guess. That was... I thought he was going to break off when I tried to pick him up. Whoa. On the lucky dice. That's a lucky dice and the Gobi. Wow. It's kind of crazy that my biggest bass of the year was caught on this crappy Temu combo. The green rod and that bait caster. They both suck, but they work. So, packing up to head home. All right, so there you have it. I was gonna keep fishing because I still got a little bit of daylight, but I just remembered the helmet that I brought only has the sunshade visor. It doesn't have the clear one, so I got to get home before the sun goes down. But yeah, check out the links in the description for Last Cast Lures. Thanks again to Michael out there, and thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting me for this year. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Tell me what you think about that Temu combo that caught that 3.5 pound bass. We'll see you guys next year.
Just me and my line. Got a rusty old hook and a can full of time. Dollar store lures and some worms on the side. Fishing on a dime with that cheap angler pride.